Hi team, we are here today talking about half-year or mid-quarter convention. So which one will we use? So you typically would want to evaluate this all year long. If you are doing estimated tax payments, you would want to predict what your fourth quarter placed in service assets are. But oftentimes this just comes at the end of the year when you are calculating tax depreciation for your company or for your clients. So the rule is if more than 40% of your assets were placed in service during the fourth quarter, you're going to use mid-quarter. And if 40% or less of your assets were placed in service during the fourth quarter, you're going to use half year. And this placed in service, I just wanted to mention, so oftentimes you'll hear people say purchased, when you purchase an asset, but technically, an asset is not depreciable until you place it in service, until you start using it. And you'll see this a lot with like construction companies. They might buy a piece of machinery in January or February, and then they don't start using it until April or March. And so it would be treated as placed in service during the quarter it is placed in service, not when it was purchased. So that is the distinction, although those terms are often used interchangeably. And if I use the term purchased in this video, I really mean placed in service. So I do have the quarters up here just in case you're not familiar with them. These would be the quarters for a standard calendar year company or client. Of course, they would change if they had a different fiscal year end. So I have just two quick examples for us. For the first one, a company placed the following assets in service during their current year. So on January 20th, they placed in service $34,000 of assets. So this would be Q1. February 17th was $29,000. That would be another Q1. And then on October 3rd, they put in a $1,000 asset, which would be Q4. So in total, they had $64,000. So our next step would be to take our Q4 assets and divide by total assets to see what percentage was placed in service in the fourth quarter. So our Q4 asset total was 1,000, and then our total overall for the whole year was 64,000. So we're going to take this $1,000 Q4 and divide by the 64,000 total for the whole year. So Q4 divided by total, that's going to give us just over 1.5%. And so that's less than 40. So that means we're going to use half year. So less than 40, or I guess 40% or less would be more technically correct. Okay, so then let's look at our example number 2. So for example number 2, a company placed in assets a company placed the following assets in service. So they had on January 20th, again, the $34,000. So Q1, February 17th, $29,000, Q1. And then on October 3rd, now this time instead of $1,000, they're going to place in service $100,000. So either more assets or just a larger asset. So this is going to be a Q4 placed in service, and then a total of 163 for the year. So we're going to follow the same steps where we're going to take the quarter 4 assets and we're going to divide by the total. So this time Q4 assets were 100,000. The total assets were 163. So again, you're just going to do that math where you take the Q4 and divide by total. So Q4 divided by total. This time it gives us 61%. So because this is more than 40%, we're going to use the mid-quarter convention. All right, so now you know how to decide half year or mid-quarter. If you're interested in calculating depreciation, now that you know which method to use, go check out those videos.